So today we've got a video I'm very excited for, not only because it is not snowing anymore and I don't have the stomach bug anymore, but I'm getting to review 3 discs, one that I've had in the bag for a very long time, and 2 that I'm putting up against it. We have good old Innova Destroyer. Particularly, I'm gonna use my favorite run, which is the 2020 Swirly Calvin run. We're gonna put it up against the Emperor from Infinite Discs and the Scorpius from Millennium Discs. Now, from what I can understand, what I've been told, back when Paul Macbeth was on Innova, he changed the Destroyer mold to be a little bit more overstable, and the Emperor and the Scorpius are the older version of the Destroyer mold, that slightly less stable version of it from before Paul Macbeth changed it. And so from what I can understand, the Emperor and the Scorpius are just a bit more of a bomber variant of the Destroyer, which is usually what I'm looking for, something a little bit less stable, and then I'll use my Halo Destroyers to fill in. But there's also Halo, or I think Helio is the Scorpius, and then there's Halo Emperors as well. So in theory, if the Emperor really is that nice, I should be able to replace it, and I have to keep looking for these old runs of Destroyer, which get more and more expensive every year, and there's fewer and fewer of them every year. So let's get started. We're just gonna throw the Destroyer first, and we'll try these 2 out afterwards. So I'm gonna throw a bunch of different variants. We'll do the 3 main ones. I have a Halo Emperor, Halo Destroyer. We're gonna try those out. I just have the one Scorpius. Based on what people have told me, I think the Emperor could make its way into my bag, but I wanna give the Scorpius a fair shot, so I do have one of those to try it out. So my trusty, this is like my go-to Destroyer that's been in my bag for the past year. Throw this one first. Flies like a Destroyer. All right, next we're gonna try the Scorpius, Sirius Scorpius. Very domey, nice pop top. You can hear that. I wonder if it'll be flippy and just turn way over, if it'll go really far. If it has the right stability, it should be a bomber. Oh, wow, it flipped up pretty nice. That's way better than the Destroyer. That went a little bit further. All right, last up we have the Emperor. This is a like Garrett Girthy run. I think this is from this year or last year. Weird color, kind of dark, but I know a lot of people like the Emperor. So Scorpius was a little flippier, but still pretty nice, had the nice stability at the end. See if the Emperor is similar. I think I threw that a little less hyzer, but damn. Yeah, definitely a bit flippier. I think I threw that a little bit pulled, but it had that little turn, kind of fade at the end. I do have this bottom stamp Emperor. We could try that out, try and correct on that mistake right there. Pulled that one a little bit too, but got a little bit more left. I like it. Now, I won't be throwing the Halo Destroyer and the Halo Emperor on a lot of holes, but I do want to see how they compare to each other. So I have this unthrown 2021 Calvin Halo Destroyer. I think it's like a little bit lighter than max weight. It's like a 173, but shouldn't really matter. We're gonna throw this. This is kind of like my go-to on this hole, just a big hyzer, and then we'll see how the stability of the Halo Emperor compares. So Halo Destroyer should be pretty straightforward. Yep, just glides left. Oh, hit the tree. Now we do have a little bit of tailwind, so maybe I'll pull these 2 out when we have more of a headwind, just to see how they hold up into a headwind. But Halo Emperor now, see if it flips up a little more. A little bit, but it still gets left. Went about 3 feet further than the other one, but yeah, I mean, it got left. Seemed pretty stable. We'll have to see how it feels into a headwind, but I definitely like it. Just as one more control, I just want to throw one more disc here, and then we'll get to playing normal holes. I have my slightly flippier Destroyer that I have in my bag. Just see if it kind of has that same shape as the Emperor. No, it still didn't flip up as much. So I think it's pretty clear that the Emperor is a bit flippier, even maybe than the Scorpius, but we'll get a couple more throws in. Let's go pick those up, play some more holes, see how they feel. I just want to note that the bottom stamp Emperor landed right here, which is just past pin high, and that's about 450, I would say. And then the swirly Emperor, the Garrick Earthy one, went about 10 feet further. Obviously flipped over a lot more, but these are pretty much my throws right out of the car. I threw about 3 warm-up shots with some putters, and I threw them 460, 465. So pretty good. If I can rein these in a little bit, I think they can be pretty good discs. We'll go over there and check out all the other discs that landed a bit more left. So just to give you an idea, Scorpius is right there, that red disc with the basket there. And the Destroyer, which I threw very similarly, that's my go-to Destroyer. Probably 50 feet further back. Definitely a bomber. We'll play the Scorpius right here. Not a bad idea to get an excuse to practice our up shots. First real nice day out. See if we got like a little Anheuser forehand with the zone. Just pop it around the corner. Oh yeah. Yeah, Scorpius. This thing bombs. Left a little bit of a tester. Now, I am putting with my old P2s here, but I may be switching up putters to start the season. To go back to a putter I used to putt with, I think around a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. If anyone knows what that might be. I don't think I ever had an in the bag where I was using them, but new putters might be coming. Oh, just barely. Feels good to not be putting in my garage. Nice to be outside. Now, like I said, I haven't really been playing much this off season, so the fact that I'm throwing close to 500, especially with these newer discs that I'm thinking of adding to my bag, pretty good sign. I definitely think I got more in the tank there, but I got to get back out throwing a bunch, some field work, just getting used to the muscles moving in that way again. But the form changes definitely helped quite a bit. It probably doesn't help that I just had the flu and then stomach bug on back-to-back weeks right before this video. We got a little bit of headwind, and this is a good hole for like a flippier disc, so we'll try and hit it on some hyzer and get it to flip out of the gap. Start with the Destroyer. I'm not gonna try and throw it too hard. I just wanna see how it flies. That's great. Beauty. So I know that's gonna be the most stable one, pretty sure. So I'm kind of worried how these are gonna handle the headwind. But we'll go Scorpius here, which I think, to me, feels a little bit more stable than the Emperor. It might be the dome on it. I don't really know. Pulled that one a little more, but yeah, very turned over. Way right. Try and commit to the hyzer a little better here. Headwind's picking up a little bit too. Yeah, a little better, but definitely flipped over. And it's definitely something to take note of, where one of my flippier Destroyers in my bag isn't really a super flippy disc. Like most Destroyers, if they're not like a super flippy run, are gonna be able to handle a little bit of headwind, where it seems like the Emperor and the Scorpius, maybe just a little bit, not as much working into a headwind. But I do wonder if the Halo Emperor can kind of make up for that, and then the Halo Destroyer, which is probably going to be more overstable, can be filled in by something else. I could keep the Halo Destroyer in my bag or put something else in the bag to fill in that slot. But because we still have the headwind here, it's a little bit uphill here, but I'm not really trying to get the eagle, so we'll just throw this uphill shot with the Halo Destroyer and the Halo Emperor to kind of see how they handle headwind differently. Of course, as I'm talking, the headwind kind of dies down, but we should still have a little bit of headwind here, kind of see how they handle it. I'm gonna try and just throw it as flat as I can, kind of out to the right, see if it turns over at all, or if it tries to fight back. So very minimal flip, just kind of holds straight, dumps out at the end. Definitely had a little bit of headwind in there, fighting it up to the right, but it got that reliable fade back. We'll throw this just about the same. I have a feeling the Halo Emperor is gonna fly pretty similar to like a regular Destroyer. So it could kind of be where the regular Emperor is kind of like that bomber disc, if I can find a good run of them, and then the Halo Emperor can kind of be like where my like go-to destroyer kind of was, where I can just throw it on pretty much any hole. And then a more overstable disc, maybe like a PD2, can fill in that role of just a disc that I can throw in the wind and have it fight back all the time, especially once this guy starts to get beat up a little bit more. Whoa, slippery, slippery. Oh yeah, so definitely flips up. Just rode straight, just barely faded at the end. So I think my assessment is pretty clear there. That kind of flew like a normal destroyer and how it just went mostly flat. Where the Halo destroyer, it did get a little bit of flip up, but you could see it fighting out pretty early and it got way left. We'll be able to see the difference up there on how much they moved laterally. So yeah, pretty much exactly what we said. A little bit earlier, dumped out to the left. We have the Halo destroyer, and the Emperor pushed into the headwind a little more, held straight, didn't really dump out to the left quite as much. So definitely can handle wind, but isn't gonna dump out super hard. So if I do wanna put the Emperor into my bag, I for sure will need something more overstable as a wind disc. And this will kind of fill the slot of where like my standard destroyer is gonna be right now. And easy little tap in for the bird. This is the new bag I'm using for the channel, holding all my new discs in there. I got some other stuff in here I'm gonna review. If you wanna get a bunch of these discs for free shipping, go to otbdisc.com. Use code WARMUP at checkout. We'll be using that, I think, through March, maybe April, and then we'll switch it up once the season really starts to get going. You know, something I really appreciate now that I'm doing this full time is I have such less a feeling of urgency and like rushed feeling when I'm out on the course. Typically I would come here after a full day. The course would be pretty busy with everyone getting out of work, and I'd have to get everything done before the sunset, get back and edit and all that. Now it's like, I think somewhere between 11 and noon right now. Not a ton of people out here. I can just throw at my own pace. Don't have to worry about people passing through me, try to rush through and get out here before the sun sets. I feel like I'm at a much more relaxed pace while I'm throwing. So I really appreciate that. I hope you guys can too, because I definitely want these videos to be relaxed. I think we're pretty good with the destroyer at this point. Definitely a bit more stable. I want to get a feel between the Scorpius and the Emperor at this point. So a good tester hole for any distance driver is this slightly downhill, about 420 over a pond with trees on the left and right, as you've seen me throw on this course many times. So I don't think I'll have to throw it too hard. We have, I think, a slight right to left tailwind, so I should be able to just hit them on like 70% power. They should flip up and get down to the basket pretty easily. Let's go with the Scorpius first. Oh. There's ice, it's all ice, okay. I threw that a little low, maybe a little not enough power there. I was thinking I could just hit it flat and let it go, but it definitely found the water. It's all ice though, made it to the edge. All right, let's maybe focus up a little bit on this one, get the Emperor over the water. Oh, same thing, just threw it low. Just skipping on the water. All right, I have this other Emperor, the swirly one. Let's throw it like we're supposed to. I think I'm turning him over a little bit too, which probably doesn't help. There we go. Throw it like you mean it. Way turned over though. I feel like I threw that pretty well, like pretty normally, and it still liked to turn over. So I don't know. I guess it's just a flippier disc. I'm not used to it. I'm used to the destroyer, but it felt like I threw that on a pretty normal stock release and it just wanted to get right. You know what, for the sake of comparison, because I have been liking the Halo Emperor here, let's just give this a rip and see if it feels a little bit better if I just throw it on that stock release. Yeah, maybe a little bit too much hyzer, but that's more what I'm going for. I don't think I threw it that well. Kind of let it go a little early, but it kind of went straight, finished out, didn't get super turned over. It has been quite a while since I've been out here playing, so there's always that factor of I just don't have my form as dialed in right now as I normally would when I'm throwing every single day. So as I throw more and do some more field work, I'll obviously be able to get a better feel for these discs. Something I always struggle with is throwing slightly more understable discs and getting those hyzer flips, especially with the with the stock run of Emperor. I think we should be able to get a good feel for it on 18. So we can skip ahead to that hole and try it out. I definitely do like the Emperor and the Scorpius. They're both pretty similar. So maybe if the want is there, I could try out the Scorpius with the Helio Scorpius against the Emperor with the Halo Emperor. If I were to pick one, I think I'd probably go with the Emperor just because I have a couple of options with me right now, but it is possible I could switch over to the Scorpius and have that be the main disc. I don't really know if they're different molds. From what I can understand, they're pretty much the same. If anyone knows the difference, I'd love to know. And if you know like a slightly more overstable run of Emperor that isn't a Halo Emperor, that would be something interesting to try out because I really like the Halo Emperor, the more overstable, but like slightly flippier mold, so it kind of fits that slot in between a typical destroyer and then the Emperor, which feels a bit flippier to me. I could see myself kind of having a regular Emperor as like kind of an understable disc to use for hyzer flips, big turnovers, stuff like that. I always like having a disc like that in my bag. And then maybe two Halo Emperors where one is a bit newer, more overstable, and then one is a bit used, and that's kind of like my go-to disc, which would be like my destroyer slot, because I really do feel like once that Halo Emperor starts to beat in, it could really be a really good staple distance driver, and it certainly seems to go further than my destroyers. And the regular Emperors that are a bit flippier have a ton of distance potential for sure. And then as like a win disc, I would probably have something a bit more overstable. I've been looking at the PD2 to replace my Kelvin destroyers, or I could keep throwing the Kelvin destroyers because they're pretty good as well while I still have them. Anyway, we have hole 18 here, kind of the just grip it and rip it hole. You just got to beat this 415 foot carry over this OB at the very end here, which is pretty easy to do, especially with the headwind here. I'm going to throw all the Emperors in the Scorpius as kind of a last little comparison, and I feel like now that I have a feel for them, I know what angle to throw them on. I definitely don't have my angles quite dialed in right now. I haven't been playing really at all in the off season aside from throwing into a net and putting, and so this is the first time I'm really out throwing discs in normal conditions, so forgive me if I'm throwing them a bit poorly. You know what, let's take this jacket off, get rid of any restrictions for this last throw. So here we go, I'm gonna throw all four of them. We should get a pretty good feel of how these fly in kind of just like an open field here. We'll go with the Scorpius first. I only have one of them, so probably not going in the bag because I'd want to have a range of stabilities to put in, which is where the Emperor could fill in. But if you guys like the Scorpius, if you can convince me, I could get a couple more and do a full video on Scorpius or just the Scorpius versus the Emperor, something like that. Because I do like it, and this pop top one, pretty nice. Just like the last hole, we have a little bit of a right to left tailwind here. Yeah, I feel like I threw that terribly. Just barely beat the OB. Okay, we'll try and get a little bit more hyzer. I don't know if it's because the crosswind is like getting them to, once they get over, they're just staying over, you know, because they're a bit more understable. And if I can keep them on hyzer and not get them to flip over all that way. But I don't know, I feel like as soon as they get turned over into this crosswind, I'm just losing them off to the right. Try and go a little more hyzer. I definitely threw that one a little bit poorly. Oh, that's better. Not really getting into the crosswind quite as much. Oh yeah, that went real far. I definitely like that. If I can get a hold of a disc like that more often. I think this stock run, this bottom stamp one, is a little bit less flippy. I think that swirly one is a bit flippier, so we'll try and see how this one goes. Maybe I can get it to fly a little bit more normal. Oh yeah, just like a straight kind of bomber disc. That's more what I wanted to do though. Yeah, that was pretty good. Definitely though, like kind of squirrely, right? Moving left to right a lot. I don't know, if you guys have a run of Emperor, or if anyone has a specific one they want to video today of the 4 discs. I really like how this flies. I'm just gonna throw it on my normal line, so not quite as much hyzer as I'm putting these ones on, and just let it punch forward. Yeah, just rides, gets up and left, maybe a little nose up. It goes really far for like a Halo disc, right? I don't know, I really like the Halo Emperor there. I wish I had something in between the Halo Emperor and the regular Emperor. I'd love if I had something a little bit less stable than the Halo one, which would probably be a season, you know, a couple months old Halo Emperor. Once I can get that, I think that's a good lineup right there of pretty understable with the base run, you know, maybe a beat up Halo one that's in the middle, and then a nice overstable newer Halo one to kind of have that range of 3 discs, and then something all the way on the sort of wind disc side of things, like a Halo Destroyer that just is really overstable. Maybe like a Halo Boss, I don't know. You know, now that I'm up here, the wind was switching a little bit. Feels like a tailwind again, but it was feeling like a little bit of a headwind once I got up here, so it's possible that the wind was kind of swirling around a little bit, which might have explained the weird kind of turned over nature of the disc that I saw. But I mean, this Light Emperor right here, this bottom stamp one, seems like it's a bit more overstable, maybe better into less windy conditions as like a bomber disc. So I'm definitely gonna try it out a little more. It doesn't quite have that dome that the Scorpius has, but I think the dominess of that Scorpius might be a little bit too squirrely for me. I kind of want a bit more of a slightly flatter profile, but according to UDisc, we're at about just over 450, like 455 right here. So a pretty good rip. I definitely got to get some throws in, some field work. Now that we're out here, I'm sure it won't take too long until I'm back to my old form, but I'm definitely feeling like I'm not getting quite a hold of these discs like I normally would. We should have a little easy up shot with the zone here. Oh, a little short. I just realized I've only thrown one actual putt this whole video, so I'll give you this one right here. Oh my gosh. Well, that's it for the Destroyer versus Emperor versus Scorpius. I'm pretty convinced. I think I'll probably replace the Destroyers in my bag. I was looking for something to replace them anyways, and after today, I was expecting the Emperor to be a really great disc for me, but I think it ended up being a little bit more understable than I would like, especially with these slightly windy conditions. Something that I'm gonna have to deal with at a lot of tournaments, I'm sure. But I could see myself having one of either the Emperor or the Scorpius in my bag as that kind of understable disc that I can use into a tailwind, throwing uphill, or just using in a low wind condition. I'll have to try them out a little bit more and get a feel for them as the season goes on, as my form gets a little better and I get more consistent. I don't know which one, as I'm thinking about it right now. I like the Emperors. I like this bottom stamp one in particular, but I also like the Scorpius, and it's pretty domey, so I'll probably have both of these in the bag for a little bit to try them out. But the real winner here is the Halo Emperor. I think it's a great combination of a little bit of a more of a bomber mold than the Destroyer, but in that Halo plastic that keeps that little bit of overstability, where it's just a really nice workhorse disc where you can just hit it flat and it rides flat for a while, maybe gets a little bit of flip, does a decent job into the wind. So it's just kind of a good overall disc. I could see myself getting another one of these, beating one of them up, have it be kind of my go-to disc, having a bit more of an overstable run to have them complement each other. And then, like I said, having that one really overstable disc to then be like your wind disc or something that you just need when you need to throw a spike hyzer or something like that. Anyway, let me know if you want to see some more of the Scorpius, if you have certain runs of Emperor you want to see me try out. But I think I'll be putting the Scorpius and the Emperor in the bag to see how they feel for a little bit, and they're probably going to stay in the bag. I'm a huge fan of this Halo Emperor. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.